Here's one towards the goal. That's going to be gloved by Travis Ridgen. Well, this is more like it.
This is Slangin The Bizkit. Here's Travis Ridgen and Dave Wheeler.
Ladies and gentlemen, lads and ladies, show is back. Take two of the show. You call me a Jive Turkey?
I called you a Jive Turkey.
No, he didn't call you a Jive Turkey. He called you a cocksucker. I think you call me a Jive Turkey, my man.
Well, I don't speak Jive. Listen, that isn't a movie that's even older than me. If anyone is thinking the movie Airplane right now, you're probably a Gen Xer, and I'll apologize for that reference.
No, I was talking about Semi-Pro. He's like, let me show you. I learned this trick when I was a nom.
I'll be honest with you, that movie did not stick with me. I mean, I saw it. It wasn't one of Will Ferrell's best ones. I know you quote it all the time. I know you love it. Most of those fall flat with me.
I feel like that's one of the most quoted movies in a hockey locker room. Like in our room, every single day there's at least one Semi-Pro quote that gets mixed around the room.
Man, that's a generational thing right there. We went with Dumb and Dumber more often than not. Or Slapshot. Slapshot was a good one too. And again, that's a movie that predates my generation too.
Well, you're also a couple years older than me, so that explains that, no?
Couple. We'll settle at a couple.
Yeah, you got a couple extra miles on me. A couple more miles, a couple more smiles.
Yeah. I've seen some things. You can tell by the wrinkles in this freshly shaved face.
I was going to say, you got no facial hair.
Yeah, so the Halloween thing took over, and my wife and I, again, and speaking of old movies, you won't remember this one from the early 90s, Pulp Fiction, a Quentin Tarantino classic, and I went as John Travolta's character of Vincent Vega, and my wife went as Uma Thurman, and so, hence the freshly shaven face, but the long locks came in handy, and that's half the reason I was growing it out. It was either going to be a John Wick something, Keanu Reeves something, or something that has to do with long hair, so there you go. That's why.
You see that comment the other week? Someone was asking why you're wearing a toque and if it's getting cold in Winnipeg. But I think you've been wearing a toque in the studio since probably about July, no?
I've always been a hat guy, and I don't know, the toques with the long hair, the toque looks better. I don't like the way the long hair looks out of a baseball cap. You know, if I got the hockey hair going, sure. If it's just like the wings coming out, no problem. But anytime it starts getting longer than the chin, then usually a toque goes on. So there you go.
I feel like you got to let it buck. You gotta.
A lot of what? The long hair?
Yeah, let her buck. Let her go.
Just go like a cousin it and just drop it. This is the longest my hair's ever been in my life, I think, actually. I'm like a rabbi. I got a little curl at the bottom. This is great.
I was talking more about take the hat off, grease her back, slick her back, and let her buck with the back.
Well, I've done that a few times. I'm sure now everyone gets to see my lovely hairline there. There you go.
Look at that.
There you go. This is the reason why you should be on the video version of the show.
I was going to say, if you're on the YouTube version, you see that. Wow, that is some salad right there. Hey, you get a free bowl of soup with that cut?
No, I'm actually going for an audition. I'm going to be Scott Stapp in the new Creed movie.
Oh, I think you do have the same hair as him, though. Actually, similar facial features now that I think about it.
Pretty close, yep.
Can you do a Jesus Christ pose?
Oh, listen, not like Chris Cornell. Oh.
Oh, I'm so excited for the Creed reunion. By the way, I was going to say, too, in the locker room today, first off, it is pumpkin spice season is dead. It's over. Gingerbread cold foam season is now in a Starbucks. I got mine today. It was awesome. Almost as good as the Chick-fil-A sandwich. We'll get to that later. But also, I know it's fantastic, right? Sounds good. Sounds tasty.
Okay.
But the boys were playing some Motley Crue today in the stairwell before practice. And I got to say, and I've talked about this a couple of times, apologies if anybody's tired of hearing this, I haven't had a drop of alcohol in my body for about 5+ years, but every time I hear girls come on and that motorcycle revs, it makes me want to start drinking again and get really promiscuous really fast.
Funny story about that song, and again, that's one that's a little closer to my generation. All of these strip clubs that they mention, I think out of the 8 that they mention, only half of them, I think just over half of them are still open. They mentioned the Marble Arch in Vancouver, and that one's officially closed. The Tropicana, the Dollhouse, there's a few other ones in there. But yeah, only half of them are still open.
The Dollhouse, that's on the Theater of Pain, right?
That's where the album's from, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Marble Arch, though. Shout out to Vancouver.
I still think my favorite quote from the movie The Dirt is, "Do not leave your wife around Motley Crue, because if you do," insert remainder of the sentence here.
Yeah. You know what? When it comes to that movie, after you realize that Jeff Tremaine was the one that directed it, it's basically a episode of Jackass, the old MTV show with the members of Motley Crue.
I was going to say, he did do Jackass, too, so that makes sense.
Yeah, there's no plot line. It doesn't follow any sort of sequence of storytelling. It's just basically prank after them throwing. Yeah, it was And that's exactly what Motley Crue was. It was just organized chaos, and that's kind of what the movie represented, I think. And shout out to Machine Gun Kelly, who did a great job doing Tommy Lee, by the way.
Yeah, unreal job doing Tommy Lee. I got to say, though, Mick Mars absolutely rips. He is the sound of Motley Crue.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's not with the band anymore. He was a little older, as they mentioned in the movie. Actually, the guy that plays Mick Mars in the movie is the same guys. I don't know if you watched Game of Thrones or not, but he was the horrible guy that used the dogs. So he sent the dog. He let the dogs out on the people. Same guy. Oh no, sorry, that wasn't Mick Mars. Was that Mick Mars, or was that the guy that played Nikki Sixx? No, I'm pretty sure it was Mick Mars. Yeah. Anywho,
I never seen
decent movie. What, Game of Thrones?
I had a very sheltered childhood, and I don't own any TV subscription services. So,
wow.
YouTube is my TV. Like, I watch like YouTube vlogs of other channels, or like YouTube is what I go to for entertainment. I don't have like Netflix or Hulu or any of that. I don't even have NHL Game Center. Like the guys, one of the guys in my house have like an NHL Game Center pass, so they'll throw games on. But outside of that, I haven't watched an NHL game on TV in I don't even know how long. But like, I don't really sit and watch. I just kind of like peek in whenever I'm walking through, and then carry on my day because I don't really watch, you know.
Well, I was lucky enough to jump on YouTube and watch you make your first start for the Watertown Wolves last week, which was pretty cool.
Yes, but before we get to that, stories, if you want some exclusive stories, you got to join the Patreon page because we got some exclusive episodes that you can't get anywhere else that Dave and I have recorded on his morning radio show. We've done exclusive episodes and some deleted episodes that were taken down from this show. You can get access to them right now. $5 a month. You join the show. You can also get access to my trading cards from my former employer, as well as when I was playing in Sweden. It's an 8-piece holographic and regular printed set. You can also get the incredibly comfortable Slangin The Bizkit white sweater of a polyester cotton. Right, Dave?
Does it say Fedzino across it?
It does not. No, it's okay. We will be serving the Elmira River Sharks for that lawsuit papers very shortly, which we'll get to in a second. But you will get the Slangin The Bizkit sweater and the mug to the Elmira River Sharks. I saw the Fedzino merchandise you have that you are retailing now. Lawyer up, George from the Voice. Lawyer up. I'm coming.
Did you trademark it?
No.
No, you might run into a problem. I love it, though. That's great. Honestly, it's great marketing. That's fantastic. That's good for the league. That's good for you. That's good for this podcast. It's great. Like, you start throwing the hashtag Fedzino down in all of the posts that we make.
I was going to say, even though I would like a slice of the pie, so to the Elmira River Sharks, please, 25% of every shirt, I would like that. It is great that the Fedzino is getting out there and more people are talking about it, whether it's from the vlog or from the podcast. It is great for everybody.
Oh, well, wasn't it Big Sexy that came up with the term?
If memory serves correct, Big Sex and I were at Starbucks in Fraser, Michigan, and we came up with the Fedzino on the spot there, and that's where that was born.
Beautiful. There you go. You're like Paris Hilton now. Go trademark some words. That's hot. That's hot. The Fedzino. Fedzino.
But if you want to join the Patreon page, there's a link in the video description on the YouTube podcast and the Apple Spotify notes. $5 a month goes up to 20 or 50 depending on how generous you're feeling, and they help us support the show, keep it going. But speaking of keeping it going, first start in the Fedzino this past week. Kind of came as a surprise, especially after last week's episode where I made you the bet. What is going to happen first? Does Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce get married? Do I get my first start in the Fedzino? And what was the other one, Dave?
Oh, I have no idea. I have a short memory these days, but you were the winner, which is kind of nice. I wish I would have had betting odds on that one. I would have thrown some money down.
Well, winner, chicken dinner. First Fedzino start happened 2 days after the show, or after we recorded the show. What a turn of events.
Yeah.
So do you want to get into that?
I do. I wonder what the odds were on whether or not you'd make it out of the first period.
Oh, man. Well, okay, so why don't we do this first? What do you think if you were to put money on the game? So Trav gets his first start. That's the first bet. It's a 4-piece parlay. Does Trav dress? All right. Does Trav make it out of the first period? And does Trav remain undefeated for the Watertown Wolves in the Fedzino? I think that's a 4-piece parlay, no?
Yeah. I would put some money down on that one. Maybe go for the Quinella or the trifecta on that one.
Well, 3 out of 4 happened. I still did remain undefeated at the end of the night because I wasn't on the record for the win or the loss, but I didn't make it out of the first period, which we'll get into. So I got a couple stories from that game, which I think a lot of people, including the team in Binghamton, which we'll get to in a moment, are very excited to hear about. So we had a game. It would have been Friday night in Binghamton. I was scratched. I wasn't dressing. And when you're scratched, I guess you don't travel with the team. So I stayed at home, was at the gym. The team played, and we ended up losing 9-6. Might have been 9-5 for that game. And earlier in the day, I had a meeting with Coach, just talking about kind of where I stand, some constructive feedback and whatnot. And the general consensus was I'm not going to be in the lineup anytime soon, probably for a couple weeks. Fast forward, the game plays out. We ended up losing 9-5 or 9-6, whatever it was. And I got the text, hey, be ready to go tomorrow. You're probably going. And then following up the next morning, you're going, rock and roll. In the words of Brian Johnson from AC/DC, for those about to rock, we salute you, right? So first start against the Binghamton Black Bears. I think this is something that has changed maybe last year when I came to Motor City to Watertown. They threw me in after that brawl, or even if I would have got an opportunity last year compared to now. I feel like I've done so much preparation in the gym, on the ice, and especially the last 2-3 months plus that we've documented about just upgrading myself as a man and my character, that I just had a lot of confidence coming in to into the rink and into the game that day, knowing that I've done everything to prepare myself, and you know what I mean? You've done the preparation, you're ready for the test, essentially is what I'm saying. Does that make sense, Dave?
Yeah, it makes sense. It totally makes sense, and it's amazing. Mike Tyson always says, everyone's got a game plan until you get punched in the face.
I think you misquoted that, David. Everybody's got a plan until you get punched in the face.
Something like that. I'd never say it like that to his face, but for the sake of this podcast, yes.
Oh, I got to find the video of him beating up that guy on Southwest Airlines. Don't say that to Mike Tyson's face.
Yeah, he just leaned over and was like, enough out of you. Quiet.
He whacks that guy in the window seat.
Does he ever? And you know what? I guarantee you that guy will tell that story for the rest of his life. Got punched by Mike Tyson and survived.
What's the story of your life? I got the shit beaten out of me by Mike Tyson in an economy class seat. That guy got more than he bargained for.
So listen, regarding the game, I jumped on YouTube and watched, and I think I figured out what the problem was. I think I figured out why you got the hook. You prepped for almost everything. You prepped for almost. You were darn near perfect, but what you didn't prep for, and I haven't seen it in any of your vlogs. I haven't seen it in any of your videos. We haven't talked about it at all on this podcast. But there's one thing that you did not work on that caused you to get the hook before the end of the first. You know what it was?
What was it?
How many times have you practiced stopping pucks that get shot from behind the net?
Not with purpose. Not many times, no.
That's why. You weren't ready for it, were you?
All right, let's get into that first. Okay, so we'll get to the second goal in a second, but so game starts off with probably the biggest mistake I could have made. Go to play the puck behind the net, and I fire a missile right over the glass. 2 minutes for delay game. And there's an amazing opportunity, like we talked about before, show my character, show some resiliency. I buried us. We're down a man early. Not on the scoreboard. We're down a man early. Let's bounce back. We killed a penalty. Fantastic. I got into a little bit of penalty trouble. And I believe, I want to say 8 minutes, maybe 9 minutes in the first period, we're on the penalty kill. And they bury a goal. It comes from the point. Through traffic, I picked it up last second. And then off the post on the guy's tape. And I tried to reach for it. I didn't get it. I got to give credit. Guy was at the right place, right time, and ended up bearing it. After that, a little bit more penalty trouble, making some saves. I made a really, really big pad save backdoor on one guy, and I felt I was kind of really getting into the rhythm. I'm making saves with control. They did a fantastic job. I'll give Binghamton credit. They had an incredible job of getting net front traffic and taking away my eyesight. Obviously, I'm 6'5", so I have a lot easier time than other guys seeing over guys, but they did a great job of taking that away and getting traffic to the net. And then I think I'm probably humming at around 1 goal on 12 shots-ish at this point in time. And 2-on-1, pass across, guy fans on it, puck goes to the boards. And as Dave alluded to, and I got to give credit, I believe Brendan Stankel is his name, I believe is the player. He goes behind the net and he whacks the puck like he's chipping from 200 out on the greens. Kind of looks like my golf swing on the fairway now that we're being honest, I think, Dave.
Well,
right?
Listen, I think you just gave yourself away. Nobody chips from 200 yards out, but keep going.
Looked like that's what he was doing. And again, I will give credit. He knew exactly what he was doing. He knew where I was. He knew what I was about to do. And he chipped the puck right beside the post, right at the right time, at the right place in my pad. And it banked off my pad and in. I saw what he was doing. And the only explanation I can have is my mindset was, don't overmove. I don't want to start overmoving and kick the puck in. I'm transitioning back to the post. I'm going to stand still and allow it to hit me and do less to do more, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, that wasn't the right answer.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from. It's a low percentage shot on his part, and it's a high percentage situation for you. But like you said, the stars aligned for that one, and that did it for your night.
Well, exactly what you said. I would bet if you lined up Stanko and myself for 20 more of those reps, I bet you he wouldn't nail another one. I bet you he goes 1 for 20.
50 of them. It's a very low percentage shot.
Yeah, you got to give credit though. That's a smart player making a smart play at the right time, and I just got outsmarted. It's as simple as that, right? Because I don't think I've ever been scored on that before. Get the brain going there, Travis. So that was my night. That was 2 on 13, I believe. I got the heave ho. About 5 minutes left in the period. And
can I comment on it really quickly? Now,
of course.
I think in any other situation, I mean, you put those exact same variables into a game in January or February, and you're likely not getting pulled. But I think Verbeek, head coach of your team, was a little. I think he was walking on eggshells a little bit, especially what happened the night before, where he went through a couple goaltenders and had the hook in after 5, and he thought, no, I'm not going to sit here through this again. He pulled you real quick, try and change up the momentum. The coach has done that before. I personally half expected you to start the second. I really did. I thought, okay, he's changing it up. He's getting the boys going, hey, we went through this last night. We're not doing it again. And then put you back in for the second period. Obviously, he didn't. But keep in mind that same thing we mentioned on the show last week, where a lot of these GMs like Penzie and whatnot, I mean, they're training for, like, this is kind of like a practice for them. If they do well, they get to move up. Could be the same for Verbeek. He is not a tenured coach in high levels of professional hockey. So these are learning curves for him as well. If he had to do it all over again, would he have left you in? Possibly.
It's a fair assessment. And at the end of the day, like, I am an asset of 20 or 19, maybe 21, whatever he has on the bench to use. And, he's going to use them as he seems fit to get the job done that he's getting paid to do. I would have loved to have stayed in simply for the reason of there's an incredible moment again, like we talked about. We're down 2-0. I've been making saves. I feel like I've been in control. I'm doing my job. I let in a goal that, like we said, low percentage chance. I got outsmarted. The guy wouldn't get it if he tried 50 more times. There's an amazing, incredible opportunity right there to show my character, to show my resiliency, and let's be honest, kill a little bit of the momentum with that goal to pick the boys up, because we're probably going to have a little bit of pressure coming up and to right the ship. We're never going to know, right? Ultimately, if I'd finished the game, okay, we would know. What do you actually made? If you're down 2, did you pack up the tent and go home and give up 3, give up 5, give up 10, or did you hunker down and make more saves and keep the boys in the game? We don't know. We're never going to know, because that's just the way that it was. I don't really have another explanation outside of that. Outside of go to the bench, take your shit off, and go support the team and be the biggest cheerleader we can, because that's my job and that's what I'm getting paid with the Canadian dollar, which is incredible right now. I think I'm getting paid $32 a day. So. Yeah, let's keep that going.
Let's go. Engineers are making that in an hour, but hey, they ain't playing hockey, are they?
They're not. Love that terrible Canadian dollar. That's fantastic for the conversion right now.
Man, it is bad. It is real bad. And listen, we're not going to get into the politics of it right now, but yeah, inflation. I mean, listen, you guys down in the United States of America are going through it too right now. Inflation is through the roof, and that just shows how bad the Canadian dollar is, that we're so much lower. We're kind of like, hey, you guys are going down that hole? Let us jump ahead and see how deep it goes first. It's not great. I would like to see the dollar go up. I want to take the family to Minneapolis for Christmas, for crying out loud.
You might be stuck in Winnipeg, I have a feeling, at this rate. But I did want to give a shout out though to Rob from Buttendz, the good-looking blonde devil, right? That's what you call him.
Yes, sir.
So Rob has been one of my best friends for probably 8+ years, probably going on close to a decade now. And Rob gives me a text on Saturday, probably morning, Saturday afternoon. He's like, "Hey man, how's things going? What are you doing today?" And I was like, "Well, I think I'm actually getting the start." And he's like, "Well, I'm at the beach right now, and I don't know why he's at the beach in October, but I guess I better start getting in the car and get moving. Otherwise, I'm going to be late. For what? Well, I got to make your first start." So he drove from Buffalo. He boot-scoot boogied all the way down, Fred Flintstone, yabba dabba doo in the GMC Suburban of all wagons, and made it down to share my first start with me. And although my family is in Winnipeg, and obviously I have no family in Watertown, it was really awesome to have Rob come down and to support me and to share that moment with him, because that's a moment I'm never going to get to repeat, my first ever FPHL start. So to share with somebody who I would consider a best friend of mine was really special, and I really appreciate that Rob was able to make it out.
That's awesome, man. That's really cool. I didn't know that. That's cool that he made it down. It's a good friend.
Yeah, he even brought his mamacita too, so she came down for the game, and they stayed the whole time. Rob, I think, missed warm-ups, but he made the first period, second period, third period, and stayed around for the jersey auction after, which, by the way, you want to talk about an event. So I played 14 minutes and 58 seconds, I believe, on the night. How much do you think my jersey sold for at the auction? Because we were doing breast cancer relay for life, if I'm not mistaken. Pensy, that's what it was, right? Breast cancer relay for life. Yeah. Okay, that's what we were doing. And so all the jerseys get auctioned off after the game. They're a one-off specialty jersey. Everybody's jersey's sold. How much do you think mine sold for, Dave?
Ooh, the average. I'm going to say you went for $850.
$700 US, which if you do the Canada US conversion, that's $1 million.
Good for you, man. I'm assuming that was the top jersey of the night. Did you ink it too at the end?
Yep. I believe all the jerseys were signed upon request, and yeah, it was crazy to see how many people were actually staying around after the bidding. It was like a bunch of Dave Hesters in the crowd.
That's awesome, man. That's great to hear. And they do this after every game, every home game. The jerseys get auctioned off. Just
for the specialty jerseys. So I'll throw a video up, or at least a picture on the video version of the show. So right now we have these like white and black, well, almost like navy, like gradient faded jerseys. Those are specialty jerseys. Those will be getting auctioned off. The Relay for Life jerseys got auctioned off. And then we also have, which you'll see in the video version of the show, these like hunting jerseys that they'll be getting auctioned off eventually as well. They're upcoming surprise, which I think people will get really excited for, as well as a bunch of other specialty jerseys that I'm very, very excited for. I'm being told by, what's that, Mr. Producer? I can't tell anybody about the future ones? Okay. I can't tell about my favorite one either? No? Okay. No. Can't tell anybody about nothing.
I hope there's just a large target on your jersey right there, so they aim for that.
Oh, wouldn't that be awesome? What if we had like a big bullseye jersey, just a big, like, the Binghamton Black Bears can shoot right here? That would probably help me. Oh, thanks for the reminder. I got a little story to tell you, Dave, which I think is fantastic. But I think we should take a little quick commercial break and talk about Sheath Underwear, the presenting sponsor for the show, and they've been here since day one. The greatest pair of underwear in the game. If you're the Binghamton Black Bears, you're going to need a pair after the story I tell you after the commercial break. So the Sheath Underwear is game changing. It is pioneered with their dual pouch technology to separate your dick and your balls to keep them in a separated compartment so they're not sticking to the side of your leg. You're not bat winging. You're going to be comfortable, especially as we're getting into winter here. And their incredible bamboo mesh technology will keep you cool on those cool on those hot summer nights and hot and comfortable on those cold winter nights, especially if you got no misses like me these days.
I'm telling you, right now, make sure you get it for Christmas. I'm telling you, Christmas gift, stocking stuffer, get it for your the penis person in your life, and they will thank you. I promise you.
Well, what do you get Dad for Christmas? Socks, underwear. Sheath Underwear. You got to get Sheath Underwear.
I'm telling you, I don't care what age they are, get them Sheath Underwear. Even if they're one of the old boys, they will thank you for it. I promise you.
And if you're going to get it, you have to go to the link in the video description of the show at sheathunderwear.com. You're going to use the code BIZKIT69, BIZKIT 69 for 20% off the greatest pair of underwear money can buy. And if you're on the Apple or Spotify notes, if you're on the Apple Spotify version, if you're in the car, if you're in the gym, pull over when it's safe to do so at the end of your set at the gym. Apple Podcasting notes, Spotify notes, click on that link, code, boom. Greatest pair of underwear you will ever buy. I guarantee it. Only from the team at Sheath Underwear.
All right, story time. What do you got?
All right, I got a good one for you, Dave. So we talked about a couple of weeks ago, actually maybe even just 2 weeks ago, about how there's a player in the FPHL that was, we all know, beat his wife. We are not fans of it. I don't think anybody in the league, even the guys on his own team, are not fans of it. That this story was kind of brushed under the rug. Quiet. This guy's one of the greatest goal scorers of all time in FPHL history. We're going to be very quiet about it. We're going to bring him back, very low key, and he's going to play for us this season. Remember this? Does this ring a bell at all, Dave?
I do remember this, and even saying the words, I know you chuckled on it. People going, why is he chuckling? Because it tastes like vinegar coming out of your mouth, even though it wasn't you or anyone that you know or anyone you associate with. You just, when it comes out of your mouth, it just doesn't sound right and doesn't feel right either. So I totally get you.
Yeah, well, and when the Binghamton the Black Bears, when they came to town on Saturday, they brought so-and-so player, and I was informed by their players and their coach that I was going to be personally targeted and jumped during the game for my comments in the podcast, which I immediately thought of. So you guys support domestic violence? Is that so?
Well,
is that the case?
No, you're still sticking up for a teammate, and when you put the jersey on, doesn't matter if you like the person or not. You are asked to toe the line. So I understand that their team, they're going to. They're probably trying to forget about this as much as they can. If I can stick up them for a little bit, they don't. I guarantee you the majority of the guys in those teams don't like it. They didn't like it, but they're trying to move on because they're trying to win just as much as you are. And when you have that much disconnect on a team, it's not going to help. So I assume that there were probably team meetings on how to handle this moving forward. So as far as they're concerned, that's in the past. They're going to move forward supporting their teammate on the ice.
Well, the way they handle it, at least over there, is if you're good enough, you can get away with it. If you're not good enough, we don't support it. And that's part of the problem. playing professional hockey is a privilege and a right. And if you do, and you act like that, you act like a jagaloon, you don't get the right to play professional hockey. You should not be granted that privilege of stepping into that team's locker room, putting that jersey, playing for the team, and ultimately getting paid to do so when you set such a poor example. All right, like I behave myself in the community. I'm not going acting like an animal out there. And just because you put up X amount of goals and you're one of the greatest goal scorers of all time in the league doesn't mean you get away with that kind of behavior. I don't support it. I'm not okay with it, and I don't appreciate that. Their team over there is sending the message of, well, we heard what you said in the podcast that you don't support domestic violence, and because it makes us look bad, because we know we're guilty, we're going to hurt you. And I got video, actually.
You're using the word "we" a lot, and okay, listen, I'll let you have this one. I luckily you're not the commissioner. Luckily for him, you're not the commissioner of the league. And listen, I'm a big believer in second chances, so hopefully he can put it behind him. And but I want to see this video evidence of what's going on here. What do you got?
Yeah, okay, so I got video evidence for the video version of the show. If you're in the Apple Spotify version, I guess Dave can kind of try to describe it to you to the best of our ability. But so during the game, this is actually right before the second goal, so about 14 minutes into the game, our guy is behind the net with the puck, and I'm kind of turned to kind of separate the man coming to attack our guy, so to buy our guy time and space, which is what all goalies do. This guy comes, and you'll see in the video version of the podcast, this guy comes, tries to kick my skates out from under me as hard as he can. And I think it's a very distinct kicking motion. I know it's zoomed in, probably about a 480p video, and my apologies for the hard zoom, but that's the only angle we have of this. When you look in, that's a slew foot, and that's an intent to injure. So if that is the best that the Binghamton team can bring for trying to jump me.
Well, listen, when it comes to you can slow video down and make it look like, and you see right here in this very split second, I think if they were going to do damage, they would have done a lot more than that, but you definitely put a target on your back. There's no doubt about that.
What are they going to do to me, though? I got full equipment on. I'm the biggest guy on the ice. What are they going to do? Throw a stick at me?
Get you to fight so you're out of the game.
I don't think they have a goalie bigger than me. I don't think there's a single goalie as big as me, so I don't think that'd be a very good idea.
You still got to pop your cherry in the feds, for dropping the breadboard.
I do got to get into a goalie fight sometime this season. I don't know who would. Me and Babs talked about that. We're not going to do that, and if it is, it'll be very friendly. But
okay, no punches to the face. Everything in the body.
Literally. Hey, listen, I love Babs. Babs is my boy. I've said it before. He's the best goalie in the league. I still believe that. He's one of my boys. I got nothing but respect for the guy, Trevor Babin, and my former employer.
Hey, let's use intent to injure on a pretty big conversation that's happening in the hockey world right now, and the terrible outcome of what happened with the player over in the British Elite League. Some pretty terrible stuff. Adam Johnson, who is no longer with us, he passed after a very unfortunate incident that happened over in England, and I've had a friend that's played over there for over close to a decade. Danny Stewart was with the Coventry Blaze for a period of time, so I haven't had a chance to talk with him yet, but I can imagine that there's a lot of talk right now, and there is online, I know that, about whether or not this play was intentional or not. And I don't know if you're going to put the video of it on the podcast or not. It's very easy to go Google, but it's just a horrific incident where a skate blade came up and caught Adam Johnson, former Pittsburgh Penguin and Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguin, played with the Ontario Reign in the American Hockey League, caught a blade to the neck and perished due to loss of blood. And now the big conversation is, A, was it intentional? Should the player that lifted his skate be up for manslaughter? And the other big question is whether or not neck guard should be implemented in hockey. I know the Western Hockey League in Canada has already made it mandatory that they're going to be wearing neck guards. I wore them through minor hockey, was never a big fan. The technology, from the sounds of it, hasn't gotten a lot better since then. But I think this is a bit of a knee-jerk reaction. I even read that Bill Daly, as a vice chair or vice commissioner of the NHL, has said that it's on their radar right now. And I know a handful of Winnipeg Jets have been trying them out in practice right now, because that's a scary moment, man. No one wants to see that, and my heart goes out to his family. And terrible situation.
Do you want my opinion on the neck guard situation?
Go for it.
Okay. Well, first off, I think we've had two guys on the team, at least in Watertown, that have added neck guards since then. Again, awful situation. I know that there's this conspiracy theory, and I know Dave and I love our conspiracy theories. And let me put my tinfoil hat on for a moment. The conspiracy that this was an intent to injure and an intent to kill, which is absolutely ridiculous. First off. I don't think a single hockey player out there on the planet, no matter how much you despise a guy, even with the situation that we just described, that you would ever do something like that to somebody. And also, even if, let's say, like, let's just pretend for a second you were, I don't know how you get your skate up that quickly in that area to execute that. I mean, the only other thing is, Blades of Glory when they do the Iron Lotus, that's the only other thing I can think of, but that's also in a fake movie. But I believe in the video, and I don't know if I'll be able to put the video on because it gets flagged on YouTube.
Yeah, don't.
But the guy who's coming across the middle gets his skate clipped or kind of kicked out by the other player, and it comes up and then slices Adam's neck open. My boy Liam Sweeney, one of my good friends, he's in Kelowna. I played college hockey with him. He knows the guy that did the killing, the killer. I guess do we call him that? I don't want to use that kind of vocabulary.
No, I don't either. We'll it's.
What do you call him?
Listen, man, that guy, I mean, the amount of therapy he's going to have to go through for the rest of his life, like his life is ruined. I mean, like, I really hope he can recover, but I mean, look at what happened to Danny Heatley with the whole situation where he was he was driving the vehicle and then ended up killing his friend after they were going too fast in a car. I mean, he was never right after that. And I mean, this is a situation where it happened on the ice. Like, I don't know. I can't even imagine him trying to put on gear again, like, and not having that in the back of his head the entire time. He will not be the same hockey player if he even continues to play, and I hope he does. But that is a life sentence, man.
I agree, and the punishment is the fact that he has to live with that for the rest of his life, unfortunately. And I know, just talking to Sweens says he knows the guy, one of the greatest guys you'll ever meet, and would never do something like that. So I don't know. I don't know anybody personally outside of what Sweens has told me. I know for a fact I personally don't even know how in that amount of time you'd be able to get your skates up so intentionally, so quickly to execute that kind of a play. Again, such a freak accident. I mean, if there was a silver lining, I feel like with the speed in which it happened, it was very quick. You know what I mean? From like when it happened to Adam to when, like limited pain and suffering, if you want to call it that. So I guess that is a silver lining. It's unfortunate, but I think it's also a freak accident. I mean, you think about how much hockey actually gets played in the world in 365 days. All the countries, all the continents, all the cities. And how many actual injuries where stuff like that happens. We're talking like a 1 in a million, 1 in a billion, like needle in a haystack. Mm-hmm. So to mandate everybody to have a neck guard on, it's like saying, well, you have to have a mattress on the windshield of your vehicle in case I go flying through it. Well, how many times am I actually going to go flying through my own windshield into your windshield? You know what I mean? It's a little bit overkill.
Yes, I agree with you, but at the same time, you've seen hockey trend this way for a very long time. I mean, keep in mind, it wasn't until the late 80s, I might even say 90s, when McTavish came back. I think Guy Lafleur came out of retirement and didn't wear a helmet either, but they grandfathered in the helmet. Now they've grandfathered in the visor, and wouldn't surprise me if eventually they go to full cage and neck guards. And you got to keep in mind, a lot of this is all, some of it, maybe not a lot of it, but some of it has to do with the amount of insurance that these owners pay for their players. And the less insurance they can pay, the better.
Hold on, let me ask you a question, though. Do you think, you'd have to think the insurance premiums went up after that incident, no?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know, because, yeah.
You think it's a business decision? The premiums went up. We got to put on neck guards so premiums go down. You'd like to think so, no?
I would definitely think that something like this happens, and anytime a payout like this happens, yeah, premiums go up every single time. So again, I'm not going to guesstimate on what exactly happened with the pens and papers and all the bean counters, but I know that it's not a good look at all. I mean, when hockey makes worldwide news and it's because of this, that's never a good look.
Well, my opinion on all this, I'm going to use the same approach that the Swedes used for the previous 3 years. If you'd like to go without the neck guard, you can do that. If you want to wear it, so be it. Do it at your own risk. You suffer the consequences. You make the wrong choice. Choose wisely. I like that idea. Let people make their own choices. We don't and this is the thing. We don't need laws and all these rules in place every time something like this happens. Let the people decide. Survival of the fittest. If you're dumb enough to go without a neck guard, like myself, you suffer the consequences if something like that happens. And if you want to put a neck guard on, great, you're protected. I choose not to because I like looking cool and I like having shoulder mobility. Simple as that. I have to live with those consequences if something like that happens. Right?
Yeah,
Everybody
but at the same
time,
I get it, and it's a little easier to say in the arena of professional sports or sports in general. I get that, but there's a reason why guys got to wear hard hats on construction sites. Like there's no wiggle room whatsoever. The second you step on that site, you got a construction hat on. That's just the way it goes. You want to be a construction worker, you're wearing a construction hat. You want to be a hockey player, you're wearing a neck guard. If they decide to mandate that, guess what? You're not going to have much of an option.
Well, let us know in the comment section. What do you think? Neck guards, yes or no? And here's the thing for goalies, too. Neck guard and or dangler. Because I do wear a dangler so I can keep the shoulder mobility. So technically, I do wear a neck guard.
Yes, you do.
Where does that sit? I don't know. Let us know in the comment section. Dave and I will always get back to you. It'll get spicy. We're sure of it. But let us know. What do you think, Dave? Yes or no? Mandatory or no?
I've never been a big fan. I mean, we were at the point where I specifically remember the neck guard part on the neck side, like on the inside of it, was fuzzy, like equipment, so it'd be a little more comfortable because it rubs up against your neck. Myself and a bunch of other guys would split that, pull out the protective part, and so it would at least fold down. You could fold it over, and if someone came over like, hey, I'm wearing it, you didn't say how I can wear it, but we'd wear it, so it would just, we found loopholes everywhere we could to get around the rules of that kind of stuff, and I was lucky enough not to get a skate in the throat, but keep in mind, I still got a puck in the eye that left me blind in one eye, and I was wearing a visor, but I was wearing it up here. I wasn't even wearing it properly. So it can happen. I mean, like you said, it's a 1,000,000,001 chance, but it happened, and we've got to, you said suffer the consequences. These are the consequences of it happening, is that these conversations happen, and it might end up getting implemented.
Yeah, you only got one functioning eye, right? Your other one's kind of not as good as the other?
Can't see out of my right eye. Took a hockey puck to the eye, broke my orbital bone, left my retina damaged, and I won't be able to see out of my right eye for the rest of my life.
Well, here's the thing. If you only got one functioning eye and you still have a neck, you should get the Manscaped beard hedger to taper up your beard this holiday season. Look good.
What do you think I used for this? What do you think I used for this beauty right here? This is why I look like John Travolta now.
You got it right down to the wood with that thing, did you?
Yes, sir.
Well, that's what we like. Well, here's the deal. If you're listening to the show, we got a deal for you. This holiday season, get the Manscaped Beard Hedger. It is the gift that keeps on giving. Help tickle the missus's twine this holiday season with the Manscaped Beard Hedger. It has 20 different lengths, so you can taper and fade exactly the way you like. I don't know if you can see this in the video version. I got mine faded about an hour, 2 hours ago. I'm feeling fresh. I'm feeling good. I got that Leonidas 300 look. I'm not kicking anybody down the pit of death unless you don't buy a Manscaped Beard Hedger. This thing's got a 60-minute battery life. It is waterproof, so you're not going to electrocute yourself. It's fantastic. And right now, if you go to manscaped.com at the link in the video description on the YouTube version, click that link. Put in the code BIZKIT, BIZKIT. It'll get you 20% off and free shipping only from Manscaped. Again, on the Apple, Spotify notes. Click on that link in the podcast notes. Put in the code. Boom. Manscaped Beard Hedger this holiday season for dad, for the boys, for yourself. Treat yourself, right? Manscaped.
I know we're running short on time here, but there's something that I want to bring up real quick before we wrap, if you don't mind. Last week, this past Monday, the New York Rangers were at Canada Life Center in downtown Winnipeg taking on the Winnipeg Jets, and it was Blake Wheeler's first appearance back at Canada Life Center since signing with the New York Rangers. And there was a video tribute, and he went out and he skated around, and people were cheering. And this is a thing that a lot of NHL teams do whenever a former player comes back with a different team and comes back into the arena. And I think it's okay. It's okay when that player was instrumental in getting them a championship or instrumental in, being a huge community, like really making an impact on the community. Like, hey, wow, we wish we had that guy back. Man, I remember the times that we had when blank was here. But the amount of time, I mean, even with Teemu Selanne, they just did a quick little, hey, welcome back, Teemu Selanne, and he kind of waved like this and da-da-da-da. But for Blake Wheeler, all he was a captain, and he couldn't even get us out of the second round. And
went to the Western Conference Final one year against the Vegas Golden Knights.
Okay, there you go. We got to the Western Conference Final one year, and that's about it. I mean, I'm not bagging the guy. I mean, I think he's a good hockey player. I've had a beer with him before. He's a Wheeler. We share a last name, no relation. But I just don't understand what he didn't really do much. I mean, he was a captain and he put up good numbers, not great numbers. I mean, he wasn't the greatest hockey player the Winnipeg Jets have ever had. I don't know why we're like, oh, goobly goo. I mean, it's not like he was a huge ambassador for the city of Winnipeg. I mean, his family is here and whatnot. He was just here. I mean, to him, it was just a job. I don't understand. We didn't get in the video montage that they played saying, welcome back, Blake Wheeler. There's no picture of him, no video of him walking or skating around like this with a Stanley Cup over his head. I don't know. I think a nice little wave to the crowd. Hey, everyone, Blake Wheeler's back. Oh, there he is. Hi, everybody. Thank you. But I mean, like a 2-minute video? Come on.
I feel like the video montage itself sucked. I know you sent me the video before we started recording, but there was nothing.
Yeah.
It wasn't a very well done video montage either. There's a couple of videos of him from 2010 with the Jets in the early on, a goal, 2 goals, maybe a little pass, and that was it.
Right.
It's like this is the best that your marketing intern can come up with.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they didn't have a lot to pick from. I don't know. I just, unless you're welcoming back your Stanley Cup champion, I don't know. That
Well,
was
hey,
a little long.
if you listened to the show last week, we're a little bit short on fans. We're about 6,000 and change short. Video guys, they gotta go get the intern to do it. That's probably the byproduct of it.
Yeah, listen, I talked about the attendance. It's not getting any better, but just wait. After the Winnipeg Blue Bombers win the Grey Cup coming up here in a couple of weeks, they will that attendance will go back up. You wait.
And speaking of attendance, though, like I know we talked about this in the spring, Joe Pace and I are going to buy a team for 2030 in the Fed Zeno.
Can't wait.
I don't know where we're going to locate it, but we're going to buy a team. We're going to make it happen.
Hire me. I'll be your play-by-play guy.
Ooh, that would be spicy. We got to get you in on that.
Right? There you go.
Are you going to work for cheap?
I'll be retired at a radio for that point, so sure, I'll be looking for a gig. Just pay me in free tickets.
Are you still expensive?
As of right now, yes. By the way, shout out to your play-by-play guy who gave us a nice little plug during the broadcast there on Saturday night. That was cool. I don't know if we're as spicy as he says we are on this podcast, but hey, I'll take the promotion, whatever.
Dude, Jeff is an absolute beauty. So if you don't know, Jeff is our play-by-play guy in Watertown here, Jeff Barrett for the Watertown Wolves. And the first voice you hear when the show opens up with the intro music, that's Jeff. Love Say by Ridgen, that's Jeff, our play-by-play guy here. He does a podcast for the Wolves, Brews with Barrett. It's like a first and second intermission interview show that goes in a live broadcast. So if you're watching for free on YouTube, you get to see that. And actually, Jeff had me on the show the other day. We had a nice little chat kind of about Sweden and just upgrading yourself as a man. And I'll put a little video on the video version of the show to see some of those clips. But yeah, Jeff's an absolute beauty. I also got to say, and I don't know if Jeff's going to want me talking about this, Jeff is very vertically challenged, right? So Jeff's probably about, and I want to say maybe 5'5", 5'4", very short man.
Nothing wrong with that.
And there's nothing wrong with that. We love our short kings over here. But when you hear his voice, you're like, how does that voice come out of that? Like, such a powerful voice. I really do think Jeff has the best voice in the FPHL. And he actually won the award for best play-by-play announcer in the FPHL last season. So,
well deserved.
Jeff.
Well deserved.
It is a privilege to give you 14 minutes and 59 seconds of action to call, Jeff. It really is.
Amazing. All right, let's wrap this up. I know you got to get to bed. I got to get to bed. Have a great weekend, everybody. And are you expecting another start by the time we do the next pod?
Yes, my former employer comes to town in 19 days, and I'm looking forward to it. I also did want to say, too, with the Virtue Bears, we do Gay Pride Night on Fridays here, and then we support domestic violence on Saturday. Go Binghamton.
Bye!
All right, so we do a new episode of the show every single Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern. That is 10 in Winnipeg, 9 in Calgary, 8 in the West Coast.
Because I'm walking away. Bye!
If you're on the YouTube video version of the show, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, leave a comment in the comment section below. We'd love to talk to you. Dave and I are always in the comment section. And Dave, he has the number one morning show on the radio, or number one radio show in the city of Winnipeg for the last 20 years for a reason. I'm number 33 for your Watertown Wolves, and we will both see you next week, next Sunday, for the next episode of the show. Thanks for listening.